169 towns begging delegates for votes. Any delegates here? What can I do? One thing I hear wherever I go is, don't forget about our town. Don't forget about our part of the state. We don't sometimes feel like Hartford remembers us. And I just got to tell you, with Lisa and Scott, I'm going to remember Stonington, Southeast Connecticut every day. With Kim Burlingham up there, she reminds me every day, my sister, and we stay here a lot. Andy Maynard, I think, deserves a special shout out. Mayor Passero, somewhere up there, I think. New London. No, I remember it. And let me just tell you briefly, two other people here, because Andy and I moved to Connecticut about 45 years ago, and we thought we had hit the jackpot. And we love the quality of life. We love the fact that we could live near where we work. We loved education. We loved taking the train to Haven, get pizza, being a Red Sox Yankees fan. I mean, the world was your oyster. And our three kids, my two daughters are here. Emily and Lindsay, are you hiding back there somewhere? I don't know about your kids, but right now, I hear this wherever I go to 169 towns is, look, our kids maybe are going to end up in a New York or a Boston, but I also want to make sure that Connecticut is a place where our kids know they have extraordinary opportunities, just like we did in 1982. We're a place you can raise a family, you can afford to live, the property taxes don't eat you up, and you have good job opportunity. And that's one of the things that I'm reminded of every day when I'm running for this office. And we're getting close to the finish line of this first tranche of this, because we got the convention that's coming up. It's the Republicans are next weekend. Ours is the weekend after this, and you've all got a big decision you've got to make now. You've had a chance to hear from the candidates, but one, what Democrat gives us the best chance to win in November? Because, as Lisa said, it really is a lights-on, lights-off election. When it comes to the environment, when it comes to dreamers, when it comes to respect for women, when it comes to AR-15s, the difference is night and day between the Republican candidates and the Democrats. And we're going to fight every day for Connecticut values, not Trump values, but Connecticut values.
There.
But we're also going to fight every day for Connecticut. And you've also got to figure out which of us has the executive experience and the temperament to help lead this state through some incredibly complicated times. I would just tell you that right now the Republicans think they're going to turn this state around. Two of them are on TV right now. The Republican Governors Association said they're going to spend at least $1.7 million in this current cycle going forward, and they've done it pretty good for me. And so they said two things. One, their press release last week said Lamont is just a Malloy enabler. He's just Malloy's third term. So I just want to talk about that for 1 second. Let's not be defensive. Dan Malloy came into the state and he inherited an incredible mess. A mess of billions of dollars of deficits going forward. He's the first governor in my lifetime to fully fund the pension. He did make some significant pension reforms. Criminal justice reform is extraordinary, Lisa, what he did. We have 50% fewer people in jail today and the crime rate is down. What he did after Sandy Hook and on guns is remarkable. So I'm not going to be defensive about where we've been as a state, where we've been as Democrats. But I also am the guy that took them on 8 years ago. And so it's going to be a discussion not about where we've been, but where we're going as a state. And that's how Democrats win this coming November. We're not where we've been, but where we're going. And the other thing they said in that press release about us was Lamont doesn't understand that GE left because of taxes. Let me just say something about that. I would be, as Lisa said, the first governor who's actually started a business and created jobs in the history of the state. So I'm happy to have a debate about jobs with Mayor so-and-so on the Republican side when it comes to that. But first of all, GE didn't pay any corporate income tax. So that was, you don't go to Massachusetts to avoid taxes. What we did do was I got together the leaders of GE, this is a couple of years ago now, and we got together Republicans and Democrats and the governor, and we got some labor and business folks, and we wanted to learn from what we could from GE, because that was a terrible headline for this state. And they said number one was transportation. They could not get their folks to work on a regular basis. And you know what that means right here when it comes to Shoreline East, when they want to cut back on regular service. We're going to have more frequent train service, more subsidized train service. That's what brings this state together. And that would be a big priority for me going forward. And number two, what GE told us was, we can't get young, tech-savvy talent that helps us upgrade our workforce to the 21st century. And I hear that wherever I go. There's good news in this state. First of all you hear is the bad news. I mean, when Dan and I ran 8 years ago, people were lined up at the unemployment office. They were desperate. And today, we have thousands and thousands of good-paying jobs that are going begging right now. Right down the street, an electric boat, over 1,000 jobs a year. And Jeffrey Geiger comes up and says, I cannot find a trained personnel in Connecticut. I am now beginning to go over to the community college system in Rhode Island to fill this spot. And I say on that, shame on us. If we failed to invest in education, we're going to start doing it now. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make sure these thousands of jobs are Connecticut jobs for Connecticut people. And that's my second big priority going forward. And I did something about it. I mean, we spent a year, we worked with all the major employers, we worked with their human resources, we found out the type of jobs they needed, we started to work together with Ojakian and the community college, so we started training people. And I was contacted, was introduced to the head of Infosys, a major information technology company, and Ravi Kumar from Infosys said, Connecticut? They're going bankrupt. Why would I ever want to go to Connecticut? And I said, Ravi, we don't have silicon, we don't have oil, we don't have natural gas, but we've always had the best trained, most productive workforce in the world. That's what Connecticut has. That is what our unique strategic advantage is. What Infosys does is they train people for IT skills, and last month they announced they're going to locate their major IT training center, not in Northern Virginia, not in the Research Triangle, in Hartford, Connecticut. 1,000 people a year with IT Aetna turns around the moving van. Aetna says, look, if I can get that type of skilled labor, I'm going to stay in Hartford. And we have the insurance industry and the Stanley Black & Decker, and maybe at some point people start leaving, they start coming back to Connecticut because of the quality of our workforce. And that's what we got to do over the next 4 years. And the other thing I got to do, Lisa, is make sure that we have an honestly balanced budget that also respects the folks who are the most vulnerable in our society and makes the investments we got to do. I know a lot of people say, hey, we had a bipartisan budget last time, wasn't that great? It was a horrible budget. It was a budget that really cut the legs out from folks most in need. It papered over the deficit one more time. And I got to tell you, it's going to be one heavy lift for the next couple of years, and I mean to do it. I'm gonna fix this thing, and I've got support of labor. I trust labor. Labor did not make this mess. The mess was created by the fact that we didn't put money into the pension funds for 30 years. That said, labor is going to be at the table as part of the solution. I hate taxes as much as everybody else, but we're going to reform how we do revenues so that we start funding the pension and fund education and bring down property taxes. And I mean to get everybody to the table and get this solved in an honest way, a budget that doesn't borrow from the future, but invests in the future. And at the end of year 2 or 3, I may not be Mr. Popular, but I don't care. I'm not going to Washington. It's not a stepping stone. I'm not going to join the Hillary administration. But I'm going to make sure that this is the same. Look, I want this to be the same amazing state that it was when Annie and I moved here. I want this to be a place that Emily and Lindsay and Teddy can call home, and your kids can call home. And that's why I'm doing it, and that's why I'm so proud to be here with the Bates. I love standing here because you've done this before. I've been here for many of these events, and I'm proud to be standing in the footsteps of some other people. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you being here.